Okay, this is just a quick recap as I'm grading some of the sources that have been turned in. I'm making the same comment a lot of the source is too big, too much jargon. This is a scientific study. This is written for professionals. If you go to EBSCOhost, I want to show you the difference and how to filter the differences between magazines that are usable versus journal articles that will pose a problem with language, professionalism, readability, length. A lot of you have the same things, which is okay. They would just become throw sources, but I want to draw attention to it now. If you go on EBSCOhost, you can't filter unless you search for something first. So if I just search um, child abuse, some of the things, some of the suggestions come up, please use those. They're very helpful, or use variations of those. So if I click child abuse and neglect, only once you click can you filter. So once you search from your original search, it will give you a list of every single thing that's found on this category. So a lot of times just looking by title right here can tell you that this is an academic journal that's extremely professional, full of jargon, scientific, can cause a lot of problems. Look at the title of the rest of them. Assessment of the psychometric properties of the tool. I mean, these titles are just kind of above our purpose. This one looks a little bit different, but instead of going through every single one of them, once you search, if you scroll down to the left-hand side and filter by only magazines, this is going to take out all those academic journals that are hard to read, that might look nice, but that fall under a very difficult task. If you notice, the titles become much more readable as we go down. They're much more usable and understandable. I've opened a few of them so you can see the difference. This is an example of what a academic journal is. So usually they have the abstract. I've notated that on a lot of your papers. They have this huge introduction, and they have a lot of citations all the way through down here, all the way through down here, because they are a doctor that is creating a hypothesis that has methods, a sample, a study. A lot of the words, even though they look like they might be usable, will be very hard to actually understand. A case was defined by each GCP2 carried out. Therefore, we have all this extremely scientific words that are broken down into charts that we probably won't understand just because we're not writing at that level. These are one independent case study that have analysis and conclusions of the case. This is usually not usable. If I wrote too big, doesn't meet the purpose, difficult to understand, not going to be able to use information. What happens is kids get the information and they simply use the introduction because that's all that's understandable, and then the whole source goes to waste. These are two of a magazine that's usable, readable. If you look at the difference, it doesn't have a whole bunch of doctors' names written up here. It is usually has a picture. I know that sounds strange, but it is just an easy way to tell the difference of something that could be over anybody's head at this point. If you read the words, just kind of scan any paragraph, it looks like something that can be easier to understand than the other ones. This is also an example of another magazine that would work. Notice the title and just the layout and the word choice of the magazine. These are going to be probably easier for you to understand, gather information, relate. These type of sources, although they look like you've hit a source that is going to be great and usable and it matches, happens as kids get into them and they can't really successfully take notes. So if you have some of those in your first four sources, it's okay. We just use them as throw sources, but it's just going through the process of understanding what is going to work in the scope of a research paper for the purpose that we have is writing a research paper, not a doctor. So if I wrote this will end up being a throw source, it's okay. It just means when we get there, we will continue to research and we have some time built in for that. I hope this makes sense, putting these two back to back. And if some of these higher ones made it into your first four sources, it's okay. We just work on um, taking them out and eliminating them now that we clearly know the difference. Please, though, use the function, use this magazine function at the bottom to help you just drain them out, filter them out without you doing it yourself. These, again, these titles look much easier. You have to open them, but the chances of you getting something more usable this way is probably likely. Use a general one file, although I'm not going to go over that now because this is the easiest filter to use, which I think is some of the problem. I will post another video after I continue grading the rest of them as they come in tomorrow. Okay, good luck searching, and I'll be grading them and returning them as soon as I'm done with all of them.